Yaroslav Halak's first season as an Islanders goalie was his career best. 36 wins, 6 by shutout. The 30-year-old had missed the first 4 games of this season, but he'll get the start tonight as the Islanders face the undefeated San Jose Sharks in Brooklyn.
The Islanders' 3-game homestand wraps up tonight with another Western Conference meeting. This time it's the San Jose Sharks who are making their first visit to Barclays Center. New York Islanders hockey is presented by Geico. Great news, Islanders fans. Some of your favorite players are back and healthy. Tonight, defenseman Thomas Hickey will make his season debut. Hickey was injured during the preseason and has been anxious to rejoin his team for game time action. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside Barclays Center here in Brooklyn. I'm Shannon Hogan, and this is MSG Plus. You're getting ready for the Islanders-Sharks game just moments from now. We want to let you guys know that we'll be wearing pink and also pink ribbons, Butch and Jigs as well, to support breast cancer awareness tonight. Also, the coaches on the bench are showing their support as well as hockey continues to try to fight cancer. So you saw there in the tease, Jigs mentioned good news because it's not only Thomas Hickey that's back. Yaroslav Halak will be between the pipes. And this has been a slow process for Halak, who actually wanted to get back in there on Thursday. And Coach Jack Capuano said, no, we want to make sure you're 100%. He will be ready to go tonight. For more on the matchup with the Sharks, let's go up to the booth and welcome in Jigs and Butch.
Shannon, thank you. One of only 4 Saturday night home games here at the Barclays Center. The crowd being treated to the return of Yaroslav Halak. What a great season he had last year, Butchie.
He was special. He was spectacular. Set a record for most wins. So he did everything that he was supposed to do as an Islander goaltender. Well, you know, it's going to be interesting, Jake. 1 game over the last month, 2 games over the last 6 months. So how sharp will he be? This is a guy that's very athletic, finds ways to make big saves. He's very strong around that crease area. But how ready is he going to be, only time will tell. But this is the guy that the New York Islanders need to net on a regular basis.
Well, you see, he had 6 shutouts last season amongst his 38 victories for the Islanders. 59 games that he appeared in, a career high. Some very, very impressive numbers. We look to the visitors tonight, who are one of the few undefeated teams in the National Hockey League, and they've got another Joe as the captain this year. Joe Thornton has given up the C, or was taken away from him, I guess. And here comes Joe Pavelski.
Yeah, Little Joe, they like to call him. This is a guy that scored 37 goals last year for this team, but he's waited. He's been patient to become the captain. He's a leader not only on the ice, but he's a leader off the ice, and he scores goals from all different ways. He'll go to the dirty area. He's a sharpshooter. He's a playmaker. He's what makes this team go. So it's his time to be the leader of this team. Find a way, Jakes, to bring a Stanley Cup to San Jose.
Yeah, they've been right there in the past couple of years, but didn't make the playoffs last year. Off to a good start. Look at the numbers put up by the new captain of the ship. 9th captain in the history of the San Jose Sharks franchise. Pete DeBoer says that Marleau has million-dollar legs, and the Islanders are going to have to keep him under control tonight. 3 goals and assists thus far for the San Jose Sharks, and he's been poisoned against the Islanders. Johnny Boychuk leads the Islanders with 16 shots on goal over the first 4 games. He played 25 minutes against Nashville here on Tuesday night. So the Islanders and the Sharks, one of 2 meetings between the 2 teams, and the end of the Western Conference rivals for the Islanders for a little while. Opening face-off coming up from the Barclays Center in just a moment. The Islanders and those San Jose Sharks.
Game for you at Barclays Center tonight. The Islanders continuing their streak of playing against Western Conference teams. The San Jose Sharks come in undefeated for their matchup tonight. It's a back-to-back game for the Sharks. Islanders looking to take advantage early on. Closed captioning is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. So let's take a look at our Lexus upcoming schedule. The Islanders are home tonight, and they're playing the San Jose Sharks, but then they're heading out on the road. They're going to head to Columbus to play the Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets still looking for a win, and that's going to be Tuesday at 7 o'clock on MSG+. The Islanders then returning back to Barclays Center. They're going to be facing the Boston Bruins for the first time this season. That's Friday at 7:30 p.m. on MSG+. Then another back-to-back situation. The Islanders back out on the road, and they're going to be playing the St. Louis Blues. That's Saturday night at 8 o'clock on MSG Plus 2. Now let's get up to the booth for Puck Drop. Jigs and Butch, take it away.
All right, Shannon, the crowd just settling back into their seats this Saturday night. Number 41, Yaroslav Halak in the nets tonight. There's last season's record, very impressive, 2.43 goals against average, save percentage 9.14, lifetime 500 against the Sharks, 5-5-2 with a couple of shutout victories. And at the other end of the ice, making his debut tonight for San Jose, or at least this season, is Alex Stalock. Numbers from a year ago, a game under 500, 2.62 and a 9.02. Has never, well, yes, he has. He's faced the Islanders once in a game that they lost in a shootout.
Well, he hasn't played a whole lot in his career in the National Hockey League, Jake, so the Islanders be wise to pump a few shots on him early on and see if they can maybe unnerve him a little bit.
You see the Marleau line starting for San Jose. Marleau on the left, Hurdle in the middle, and Ward on the right side. And the Islanders countering here with the Perlman, Grabowski, and Brock Nelson line. Right away, the Islanders trying to get something going deep in the San Jose zone. But the Sharks play it up the boards. Ward chasing at center ice. Dumps it down, and Hurdle will go in after it. Nick Leddy is back. A double-teamed Ward trying to get it to the net. Cleared back toward the blue line, and chipped just outside the line. The law firm of Saint Laurent and Hansen refereeing tonight with Shander Alfonso and Scott Cherry working the lines. And the starting lineups brought to you by Infinity. Both teams have made some changes and an offside called.
That's the first period brought to you by DraftHouse. Fantasy Sports
Pete DeBoer, back with a San Jose bench, his rookie season as a Sharks head coach. 4-0-0 off to a good start.
Talked about his team just briefly. I asked him what surprised him about the Sharks, and he talked about the veterans. He said they were a very, very motivated bunch. They lead in all the off-ice works. They're first in the dressing room. I mean, they're just real great leadership quality from these veterans.
His team is coming off a shootout win against the New Jersey Devils last night. A game you know the Devils wanted desperately. Just to say hi, Pete. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a little extra push, but at least they're 3-0-1 instead of 0-4. Interesting enough with the Devils, they have never led at any point in time in their first 4 games, Jake. So you know they're dying, but certainly Pete is not feeling bad. Said he enjoyed his time there. Still had some friendship going on, but happy to move on.
Got a look at some cold, hard facts. Brought to you by Frost Brew, Coors Light. John Tavares testing the goaltender. Stalock with that. Tavares playing in the middle, of course, with Strome on one side and Anders Lee on the other. He just broke up a play. But the Sharks able to recover. Having a little trouble getting into the center ice area was Brent Burns. Burns dumped it down the left wing boards into the Islander territory. The Sharks looked for somebody at the point. Hansen got there, or Vlasic rather, and the puck was knocked away from him. Vlasic, Strome up on the forecheck. The Islanders starting to change up at the end of this shift. Shooting around the boards, got away from Halak. Came to the blue line, and Tavares got a stick on it, then turned it over up the slot. The shot doesn't get to the net. What an opportunity arriving for Smith as it was a major turnover in the Islander zone.
John Tavares looked like he was looking for the quick up through the middle of the ice, and you're right, turned it over to Smith with a good opportunity.
Matt Martin got it back to Boychuk, and his shot from the point was blocked. Stalock turns it around to the far side. Goodrow can't clear the zone in the initial effort. Clutterbuck took the man, and Clutterbuck was rocked a little by a hit and return. And now the puck shot down into the Islander end by Justin Braun. The Islanders into the center ice area, and up on the rush is Kuhlman. Stalock turned it to the near side of the ice, and the Sharks have just dumped it out. Having it back for it, over to DeHaan. Melvin DeHaan, and a dump in. Stalock again working back at that San Jose goal, and the Sharks. Hurdle is checked. Nice play by Nelson, and the first penalty of the night is coming against San Jose unless the Islanders score, and do not before the whistle sounds once they regain control of the puck.
Well, this will give the Islanders a chance to get that lead. It's just so critical. Get off to a real good start. Good pace out there, Jakes.
San Jose penalty number 4.
Their power play's been pretty good. Hurdle, who's now playing center, and he's a natural center, but has played wing the last couple of years. Hurdle has the opportunity, and there he gets the stick right up into the midsection of Brock Nelson, and that's an easy call, but his coach, DeBoer, said that he wants him to play center because he's a natural center.
He'll sit for 2 or less. Shot right on. Stalock got enough of that and has held it for a face-off. The Islanders power play is being brought to you by Volkswagen.
Well, that was a pass shot as Zlitsky, I think, was just trying to look for John Tavares. A little slap pass. Tavares deflects it, and a real good save by Stalock. He's able to squeeze that puck and prevent it from sliding into the net. But that's one of the plays that a lot of teams use, Jigs. They sort of fire the puck, but it's not really a shot. It's more of a pass deflection.
The Sharks won the draw, but can't get it out. Zlitsky here at the right point. It's knocked away from him, and he'll have to go back. The Sharks' penalty killing is the best in the league after 4 games. 94.1%, but killed 16 of 17 penalties called against them.
Yeah, they gave up one the other night against the Devils late in the game.
Strome across ice speed. Lee couldn't get it to the net in time. Zlitsky backing into his own zone. Tavares back to join him on the far side now and accepts the pass. Tavares can't get through the defense, and here's a break down the right side. Nato cut to the left and then gave up the puck.
Big Burns, who's back on defense. Last year he played a lot with... Well, the referee has blown the whistle. That's usually a sign there's too many men on the ice. And
I think the Islanders got
caught. Yeah, I just saw 6 guys in a hurry, so there was a mix-up out there. Got to talk to one another when you're making the changes. Johnny Tavares is going to go over and serve it. Took the quick look as soon as the referee blew his whistle, and I could count quickly, Jakes. 6 guys in a hurry, and that irritates the coach. There are some things, you can kind of let slide a little bit, but when they change poorly, that usually irritates the coach, particularly on a power play, because you negate your power play, and then eventually you're going to have to try and kill one. So a mistake early on for the Islanders.
And some 4-on-4 hockey for us now with a face-off to the left of the Islanders' net. Hans Nielsen on the draw and has been very good and won that one. Leddy starts from back of his own goal. Boychuk coming up the right wing board. Loaded it wide of the San Jose net. Grabowski after it. Hans Nielsen there as well. But it's the Sharks gaining control. Ringles plays it down into the Islander end of the ice. And regained the puck. Got it back to Vlasic. To the right side for Braun. That shot toward the net. Covered and held by Yaroslav Halak.
That shot was deflected at Ward's in front, the nemesis for the New York Islanders last year with the Washington Capitals. Ward came over here to play for the Sharks. He's in front of that net, makes a good deflection. Well, there's the backup goaltender, so Thomas Greiss gets a complete night off, and young Mr. Berube gets to sit there and watch. I saw him talking a little earlier to Jones, ex-LA King also, and talking to him and saying, hey, you got it going pretty good over there, don't you?
Martin Jones is in the backup role. He played the first 4 games and had 2 shutouts. Came into tonight as a backup with a .46 goals against average. 4.9. That's been half a goal a game.
Traded to the Sharks and the Kings for a first-round pick.
A shot from the right point that just went wide on a tip. Final 2 seconds of the penalty against Hurdle expiring now. The Islanders short-handed with Hamonic leading the rush. Her shot was blocked. Quickly, Clutterbuck gets back. So does Hamonic and Boychuk. Tierney got it across the line with a feed to Joe Thornton. His relay was out of the reach of Pavelski, but it came to the near side. Sharks trying to get something set up just inside the blue line. Long shot by Burns.
Deflected by Pavelski. That was just, again, a wrist shot. A lot of defensemen just fire the puck, trying to get it past the on-rushing forecheckers. Someone usually in the slot area was Pavelski. You're going to watch him over in this area here. Take a little look, and you'll see him. He gets a stick on it. deflects it up high. Face-off should come outside because I thought that Pavelski got a part of it, but I guess he didn't. He missed it. Perhaps that's why he was a little upset with himself, Jakes. The Islanders were able to tick it just a little higher. No Martin tonight.
No, Paul Martin. Yeah. Not able to go tonight. Normally teamed up with Brent Burns. It's a lower body injury for Paul Martin.
Just signed a new deal as a free agent.
Here's the guy rushing the puck. He'll be out there a lot. Played almost 30 minutes in last night's game, and on an average about 28 minutes per game. Brent Burns with a shot. That's blocked. The Islanders trying to clear the zone here. Teams are at full strength again. Nothing on the scoreboard. Halak a close-in save. Sprawls out, makes the stop again, and covers up.
Big Joe Thornton invited himself into the crease, but Halak denied him.
Let's step up for a moment. Nothing on our scoreboard. It's the beginning of a great new era in New York Islanders hockey. NHL All-Star John Tavares leads a cup contender here in Brooklyn for the 2015-16 season. And the Islanders will take on the Boston Bruins at this building on October 23rd. This coming week. Get your tickets now. Call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000 or online visit islanders.nhl.com. So Johnny Boychuk renews acquaintances with his Bruins of the past here at the Barclays Center Thursday night.
That's always a lot of fun, Jigs. I can think back to my days with the LA Kings and when I was playing with the Islanders, and every time I wanted to play against the LA Kings, I was ready, a little bit more motivated. You never forget about the team that you had a little success with.
I think it's still that way for you. Anxious to get back now to the Staples Center and see some old fans. Thank you, folks, with the Goring jerseys.
Yeah, there's still a few of them around.
The last time out there, I saw that old John Potvin license plate was still in existence, too, in a vehicle that had to be almost 100 years old now. Still on the road.
Yes, there was a lot of good fans in L.A., and there still are a lot of good fans in L.A.
Fans probably don't remember that the Islanders' number 4, Jean Potvin, broke into the National Hockey League with the LA Kings. Went to Philadelphia before becoming an Islander.
Yeah, big trade. John Potvin also played for me in Springfield the year we won the Calder Cup along with Billy Smith. You may not remember that, Jigs.
No, I didn't get to Springfield too often, Butch.
Oh, you were a big dog then. You were in the National Hockey League. You didn't have time for us little guys.
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, never. Did you ever call, write, or anything? Let me know where you were? No. Someday when the book is written, got to tell the story about the day you signed your LA Kings or NHL contract. Well, not the day, the night, late, almost the next morning you did. Anyway, nothing on the scoreboard. And the Devils, or at least the Sharks, I should say, trying to play in the Islander end of the ice here. Move it back to the point. Long shot blocked in front by DeHaan. Cleared to center. That'll slide harmlessly inside the San Jose zone. Quick up. Pavelski dropped it back. Thornton to Pavelski. Pavelski trying to center from the corner. Got knocked off balance. Knocked down a second time, and it's Thornton turning it around the board. To the right point for Burns. To the left side here for Dillon. Dillon shot toward the net. Was steered aside. Comes back to Burns. Fires. That's off a stick and wide.
Burns has a very good shot. As I talked about, he played a lot of forward last year. Jake scored 17 goals, so he has a pretty good touch for a big man.
He is alone, all right. There's a shot deflected up into the protective netting.
Terrific shots for the youngster Nikolai Godalbin. He played at Sarnia for 3 years, scored 30 and 38 goals, and played last year in the Finnish league. He's a sniper. He's got some skill. He's still learning the National Hockey League game, but to give him an opportunity, he'll be able to get it by. We feel like he's going to be a very, very gifted player. He's going to score some goals in this league.
Yeah, just a 20-year-old and stepped into Logan Couture's spot.
Yeah, they're going to miss Logan Couture, no doubt about it. 27 goals last year, Logan Couture, so that's a big loss for the Sharks.
Broke his leg in practice at New Jersey the other day. And it was at the Rock. And at full practice, not at the practice facility, but right in the big building when the incident occurred. And gone for 4 to 6 weeks, underwent surgery today, I understand.
And Couture is on the power play and on the penalty killer, so he's not just a one-dimensional hockey player. This is a all-around real good player, centerman. There's no way you can replace this guy. The Sharks will have to do without him and survive. I think that's but an opportunity for the young players, guys like Goldman, to show what he's got, see if he's really ready for the National Hockey League. Skilled enough, got some good size. But it takes these guys a little longer to understand the defensive side of the game.
Yeah. Well, that's to do partially, I would think, with the speed of the game at this level.
Speed of the game and the dedication to what you do away from the puck. Coaches talk about it all the time. Now, you have to be very, very cognizant of what goes on when you don't have it. Easy game when you have it, Jake.
Yes. Martin, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck.
They know what to do when they don't have the puck. They just go out and become a wrecking crew, and they just work hard and very physical bunch.
Great illustration there as Clutterbuck kept the action going in the San Jose zone, and that shot hit the outside of the net. Turned around to the near boards and brought up ice by Braun.
Peter Laviolette was calling the fourth line a heavy line. And it had nothing to do with weight. It's how they play the game.
Now you've got Strome, Tavares, and Anders Lee out together. And the Sharks will try to come down the right wing boards into the Islander zone. Shot blocked on the way to the net as Wingle's got a stick on it. Takes it back to the net, looks for somebody out in front. It's reeled back to Dillon covering the left point to Burns, but outside the blue line.
Dillon was acquired last year, Diggs, in the trade from Dallas, so he's just establishing his wares.
This is Hamonic flushing the puck in, back to Strome. Couldn't handle it at the blue line, but a nice effort to take it away from Marleau for a moment. Oh, what a job again by Strome.
He just stayed right with it, and that's young guys learning about the game, how to play defensive hockey. Ryan Strome in really his third year.
He led all the Islanders forwards in ice time the other night against the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, he's off to a bit of a slow start. His first couple of games, he's just trying to get settled and understanding what it's like to play against the other team's best defensemen and checking forwards all the time. You've got to be mentally prepared and physically prepared because it's not easy. John Tavares has been doing it all his life.
Ron Stilson let a backhander go off the right wing boards into the catching glove of Alex Stalock. Islanders nothing, the Sharks nothing.
First period about halfway through, no score between the Sharks and the Islanders. This is a Buick RoboCam replay, and we're focusing in on Ryan Strome, the good hard work, only his third year, but watch the tenacity and the back checking. He just stays with it and then lifts the stick, prevents an offensive opportunity. That's good work by Ryan Strome. That's maturity. The RoboCam replay is brought to you by the new Buick. Buick, your kind of luxury. You know all about that, right, Jakes?
I do, indeed. Hamonic off the right point following the draw. Couldn't get it to Oposo in time. Oposo back to take it away from Kowalski. To Hamonic. That was Hamonic out around the boards. He got away from Stalock. Over on the right side, the defenseman Braun got some help from the Sharks. Move into the center ice area and cross the Islander blue line on the rush here. Nothing doing for Godobin. And Oposo. Looked one direction, played it the other. Comes to the line, but not out. Long shot off the catching glove of Halak. Ended up in the far corner. Right back to the point again. Cross to the left side for Vlasic. Centered in front of backhander off the left shoulder, it appeared, as Halak just raised the right side of his body to block that.
Yeah, he fought that one off, and still not as sharp for me as he probably would like to be. I mean, you want to catch those pucks that are coming with you with the trapper, but he's doing what he needs to do. He's getting himself in front. He's making saves, and that's the important. It's not so much how you make them, Jigs, it's whether you make them.
Yeah,
you don't get points for style.
He made it.
No, he's settling in a little bit, having some good hard energy and work early on in the period.
He's faced 7 shots, got them all. Back to the right point in the Islander zone, then turned around the boards here for Ben Smith. Smith trying to reverse the puck. Got it to the far corner. And Brown.
This offside.
Yep.
Puck didn't quite get across the blue line in time with the two of those guys. But again, good work, good passing. Pavelski hanging on to that puck, looking to create an angle, and you see where Halak just fights it off. It was right in between the shoulder and the glove, so he decided to play it with the shoulder. But I think this is a difficult game for Halak to play. I mean, like I said, Jakes, at the top of the show, 2 games in the last 6 months, 1 game really in the last month. So he's not really in game shape as far as his reflexes and watching the play. And he's not used to this building. This is a new building for him, too. So he's not used to the glass, the boards. So this is a completely different environment for him. So I think that he's going to have to work a little harder than he normally would like to, just to kind of settle himself in.
Offside against the Islanders. Coach was saying this morning that he probably could have played against Nashville the other night. Physically ready, but give him a couple more days from Tuesday till Saturday, and obviously going to feel a little bit better, he felt.
Well, more practice and just, maybe a little bit more hard work down in the, in the defensive zone with having to have people bump into you. I talk to all the goalies all the time, say, what's the toughest thing about coming back after injuries? They said it's the contact, the shuffling back and forth. You get very tired very quickly. That's game changing.
Ryan Strome moving the puck. Nick Leddy steps over center ice. Played it hard around the boards. Tavares came to the near side. It came to the point instead for Boychuk. And Stalock just scooped that up.
Good save by Stalock, just making sure that there was no rebounds. And the Sharks, they have to adapt a little bit of a new style. Peter DeBoer is a guy that preaches defense, real solid defense, good tight neutral zone play. I mean, that's why he was in the Jersey Devils coach before, because that's kind of the way they played. So he said he had a good camp in that regard, that he was able to lay the foundations of his systems. Boys were very receptive to everything he had to say, and they are off to a terrific start. I mean, they're 4th year in a row. They're off to 3-0 starts.
Yeah,
4-0 now, and it's the best that's ever come out of the National Hockey League. Nobody's ever done that 4 years in a row.
Here are the Sharks moving in with a shot handled by Halak and out to cover right at the icing line off to his left. A little pushing and shoving after the whistle.
Oh, I wonder who's involved in the pushing and the shoving. Oh, Clutterbuck along with Hurdle. Johnny Boychuk looking for that shot. Good save. Clutterbuck going to the front of the net. Stalock's able to get some position. Johnny Boychuk's very good in being able to get that puck through, get it on net. Clutterbuck he's always cluttering everything up, isn't he, Jakes? Everybody's from a physical standpoint to a mental standpoint.
Saw him a moment ago going back to the Islanders bench. He's playing his 500th National Hockey League game tonight. The Islanders have iced the puck. I think it's rumor time. Don't you? Ready?
Certainly, I'm listening to you, Jakes.
How about this one? When we get to Columbus for the game on Tuesday night, Mike Keenan is the coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. No?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Todd Richards has done a wonderful job, and they've stumbled out of the gate, but the race is far from over.
Mike Keenan fired today in the KHL.
He was fired.
He was fired, yeah.
Well, coaches are hired to be fired. You win a championship one year, and then the next year you're not good enough.
A couple of days ago, they were talking about Mike being a part of the coaching staff on the Russian national team that would compete at the international level. He's also applied for Russian citizenship, and that is no joke. The puck just skittered in, a deflection in front.
This may be challenged. Jack Capuano might want to challenge that. Pavelski was right in his kitchen, and look at Halak saying that he was interfered with, and they might challenge this a little bit. Dougie's talking upstairs, so they're going to really try to slow down the play a little bit and get a look. But Pavelski was right there, and Halak right away motion. So they said in the National Hockey League said they were going to give a little time to see if this would develop. Let's watch the front of the net, whether Pavelski really gets in the way or whether he's just got kind of position. I'm not sure he touched anything at all, but he's definitely in that area. So does Jack Capuano want to waste his time out, and the referee's checking it, and it looks like he's going to call for it. It's a close call. I won't say that this is an obvious call, Jakes. And the call on the ice was a good goal.
Yeah, they are challenging.
Take a little look overhead to see whether he bumps him prior to. For me, I don't think that's interference, Jakes. I think that Pavelski just was outside the crease. Halak made a move to go to his right, and he does touch Pavelski, but it's outside of the crease. So I'm going to say it's a good goal.
The Sharks won a challenge in their game against the Devils last night. You saw the two referees huddled. Francois Saint-Laurent, referee number 38, number 47 is Trevor Hansen.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that ever hits Pavelski as he was going across. Good shot by Braun. Again, wrist shot just on the net. Halak, you can see, is trying to establish position outside of the crease, and it's his right leg that runs into number 8. Right in here, you can just see this whole situation right there. Take a little look as he rocks into him. Like I said, Jakes, if I'm making the call, I think it's a good goal.
Yeah, I think I have to go with you as well. Not flagrant interference.
No, it was.
And number 61, Justin Braun made. Do you know his father-in-law?
No.
I think you do. He is married to Jesse Lysiak.
Okay, yes. Well, I know I played against Jesse's dad for a number of years. Terrific hockey player, Tommy Lysiak. Now we'll just take another look at it. It's a wrist shot, and a lot of the Sharks, you can see, are just wristing the puck. Burns was doing it. They just want to get the shot on net. They're looking for the deflections, the rebounds, the screen shots. You can see that the referees are taking a look on the screen. It's their call.
The senior referee of the two, now in his 11th season, Francois Saint-Laurent, out of Greenfield Park, Quebec. Trevor Hansen from Richmond, BC, is in his 3rd year of refereeing NHL games.
Well, here we go, Jakes. We'll get a call from the refs. The Islanders may get a break here. We'll see. The referee's still continuing to talk it over, but they're ready to go.
After video review, the call on the ice stand, we got a good goal. The New York Islanders will forfeit their timeout.
And I agree with that, Jakes. I didn't think that Pavelski interfered at all with Halak. That puck goes in off of Halak as that shot comes through, and perhaps it went off of Pavelski because I can't get a real good look. But Pavelski is outside of the crease, and you got to be in as for me anyway, as a forward, Jakes, you got to be able to, go at least to the top of the crease and have some sort of offensive capabilities, and I think that's exactly what he did. I don't think he certainly wasn't in the crease in any way, shape, or form. So Little Joe, that is, may get credit for that goal because it may have gone in off his shin guard.
Yeah, he's got it officially now. Little Joe from Braun and Big Joe at 13:04. 9th shot on goal for the Sharks. The first to get by Yaroslav Halak. 1-0 San Jose. They get into the center ice area. Vlasic's long shot is cleared aside. DeHaan rattles one off the boards. Bringing it up ice is Frans Nielsen. Poso. Poso pulled up on right wing. His pass was deflected. DeHaan got a stick on it. And then Joel Ward is able to clear it into the Islander end of the ice. Brought out quickly, and Hamonic here on the right side. Fired it off the end boards. And the Sharks just clear the zone. Poso went back. The Islanders reset the play. Kudlinski with a long cross-ice pass. Brock Nelson pulls up. Nelson on his off wing at the moment to Hickey. And then the puck went to the defenseman Dillon, and he's cleared it out for the Sharks. They're in the middle of a player change and will regroup inside their own blue line. Brendan Dillon trying to get something going. And the Sharks move up. They dumped into the Islander end of the ice. Davenport here on the near boards, as you see. Puck cleared back in the net, controlled by Hickey. Thomas Hickey's first game of the season.
Thomas was hurt in training camp. Lower body injury or an upper body injury. Depends where.
How long his arms were?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's all we'll say. Here's Tavares. Dropped the puck for Boychuk. In deep, fired. Couldn't get it through that screen set up in front. And the Sharks will take over as Vlasic steps into the near corner to sort things out.
Vlasic was in the shooting lane. Blocked that shot, that offensive attempt.
Now a cross-ice feed. Oh, shot just wide by Nito. It's off the near boards. And back to the blue line. A long shot. Up again by Braun, and it's covered by Halak. The only goal of the game scored by the Sharks at the 13:04.
To Barclays Center here in the first period. The Islanders are trailing the San Jose Sharks by a goal, but still plenty of the game to be played. We want to let you know, coming up on the Ford Intermission Report, we're going to have a walk-off interview with one of the Islanders players, plus Dan Fischler will join us with his wonderful yays and boos, a segment you're not going to want to miss, all coming up in the Ford Intermission Report, but still 4:43 to play in the first period. Guys, take it away.
Interesting conversation here. The veteran and the rookie. Goldalvin playing on the left side with Pavelski on the right and Joe Thornton in the middle. That was Pavelski taking the draw, but the puck comes to the center ice area.
Well, he's a right-hander, so that's his strong side, Jigs. Thornton would normally take the face-offs, but he's better on his strong side, which is the left side. So when you have that two centermen on the same line, it has its advantages, especially when they're right and left-handed centermen.
The forward line of Oposo, Nielsen, and Bailey out for the Islanders. Gahan from the point. That went off the pads of Stalock.
The Islanders haven't had a lot of good opportunities at Stalock. A little bit here and there. He hasn't been overworked. That was the 6th shot on net, whereas the Sharks have had 10 or 11.
And you see the Islanders forced back into their own zone. Ryan Strome can't get Tavares moving at the blue line. 3 Sharks in deep. 3, now 4 Islanders, all 5 back. Battle here along the near boards. The puck came to the blue line. Vlasic around the end boards. Hamonic gives chase. Travis Hamonic rubbed out in the play, but Anders Lee was there, and it'll come rink wide. Controlled by Marek Jedlicki.
This first period is a little bit like the Nashville game the other night. The Islanders started off very, very slow, and then slowly but surely picked their game up.
They just dump the puck in and give chase. But Vlasic pulls up on the end boards, then moved it on. This is Brown fighting it down wide of the Islander goal. Halak around to Anders Lee, and his pass attempt was partially deflected and shot right back in again. 3 minutes remaining in the opening period at the Barclays Center. Thomas Hickey with a pass to Kuhlman. Up ahead to Clutterbuck. Clutterbuck was onside, missed Lee, who was coming in after it. On Matt Martin, along with Clutterbuck and Cizikas. Boychuk hard around the boards into the zone. Cizikas knocked off balance, but managed to maintain the puck till Martin got there. Matt Martin tied up, as you see, on the end boards, trying to get away from his man.
That was Nieto at the checking. Almost was involved in a hooking penalty. Matt Martin protected the puck.
We've had 2 penalties in the period. Hurdle for a hook, and here's a chance and a delay call, and there should be a penalty shot. Yes. It'll be Grabowski with the penalty shot opportunity.
Yeah, the good speed of Garbo, as they like to call him, was driving through and was able to clear himself. And the San Jose Shark player had absolutely no choice. That's Dillon with a couple of quick hooks, takes away the scoring opportunity. He's in the clear, not able to go across with it. You can just see the hooking by Dillon. Grabowski's got his head up, and then absolutely no chance. I think he would have scored there because he was going up high over the stick side.
We'll watch it with you. Second penalty shot for the Islanders this season. Grabowski can't get it by Stalock. Cut to the left. Rabo in shootouts is 8 for 27. And that is the 6th penalty shot called in all of the games played amongst the 30 teams thus far. And nobody has been able to score on a penalty shot yet.
Stalock plays this absolutely perfect. He was out a long ways early on. Grabowski tries to get him to move. He's slapping his stick on the ice, looking for a reaction from the goaltender. He never gets it, and the goaltender just completely outweights him and makes a big save. With just a couple minutes to go in this period, that could very well be a turning point in the game. Obviously, we'll have to wait a little longer to see how that matures.
In which way in particular? Get the Islanders fired up?
Yeah.
A little more?
Yeah.
Centering pass on the stick of Nelson, and then he couldn't control it. So Hamonic will drop back Get it across. On.
That was a good turn of speed, Jigs, by Grabowski on Dillon. Just coming through the neutral zone with a nice pass from Kuhlman, and away he went.
Hamonic has cleared it around the boards. Where it goes to Kuhlman and Grabowski. All smiles this morning when the news came out of the KHL that Metallurg had fired their coach, Mike Keenan. That was Kuhlman's hometown. In fact, he played for Metallurg before coming over to the National Hockey League.
Will they deal with Mike Keenan at some point in time?
I don't think so.
Mike?
No, I think they're just reputation alone, perhaps. Several other people smiling too. Here's Tavares across the line with Lee trailing. Tavares fired one up high, and Stalock shaken up a little after that, and then Tavares was taken into the boards heavily in the far corner.
It was a nice clearing play by the Islanders, or breakout. John Tavares delaying a little bit, and then able to come up through the neutral zone with some speed and then drive wide on Braun. Braun doing his best to keep him to the outside. Got a couple of fakes and then gets to the outside. He has a tremendous wrist shot, and Braun does the smart thing. He just stays right with him. Talk about finishing your check. Braun just continues to go right on through him. It's not a bad guy to pin, but you know Tavares is going to give you a second and a third effort. But John was able to get some real good speed because he delayed coming out of his own zone, Jigs, and waited for the quick pass out from Ryan Strome.
Strome gets the puck to Tavares, bumped again. We're into the final minute of the opening period, and the Sharks with a 1-0 lead are into the Islanders zone with a shot that went off the blocking glove. Goaltender Halak played around to the far corner. Marleau chasing it. Marleau unable to center cleanly. Tavares had that one figured out. John Tavares took 5 stitches, the left side of his chin. That game when he scored the goal in the third period against Nashville here the other night. Sharks cleared down the boards. 25 seconds left in this opening period. Leddy guides it to Boychuk. Up around the boards, out to center for Oposo. He found the onrushing Franz Nielsen with a shot. Knocked away, into the goal mouth, and then cleared to the corner by Stalock. And the final 8 seconds tick off as the Sharks fail to get through the center ice area.
Great speed again with the Islanders coming up through the neutral zone. Kyle Oposo, a little turn back, creates time and space, dumps it into the hole for a fast-moving Franz Nielsen, who gets away a terrific shot, forcing Stalock to make a real big save on the short side. Not a bad period for the Islanders. Started to pick it up in the last 5 minutes, Jakes. As I said, similar start to the game against Nashville. Let's hope the result is the same as it was against Nashville.
Yeah, at one stage they were being outshot 2-1 by San Jose, and it finishes up 10-10 aside. But the only goal coming at the 13:04 mark, as you saw, coming up with the forward intermission report. Shannon with an interview and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for that. After 1-0 San Jose, the forward intermission. New York Islanders hockey is being presented by Geico. Getting ready for the second period here at the Barclays Center. Tonight's trivia question. Time for that. Brought to you by Cadillac. And it centers around the former captain, Joe Thornton, 6th amongst active players with a plus rating of 178. Who are the 5 players with a higher plus than Big Joe Thornton? 5 of them.
5 of them. Somebody who plays for a good hockey team, I can guarantee you that. Puts up a lot of good numbers. Just think about the best teams in the league over the last little bit.
With Charlie in there, it's a...
Thinking of people who...
No? Got to be a couple of D involved there, I think, Butch.
Yeah. Is that it? Can you be retired, or is it active players? Did you get that?
Yeah,
I know Larry Robinson is a gazillion plus minus, and Bobby Orr was a gazillion. So is it active players or inactive players? Jakes?
Well, I think back. Number 19. Well, in fact, the truck is telling me that Larry Robinson one season was a plus 120 in Montreal.
And Bobby Orr was more than that in one season. He was stupidly good.
Larry Robinson, by the way, is
he's still with the Sharks?
He is involved with player development. So is Mike Ricci. So is Jenny Nabokov. Player development guys. Their coaching staff is kind of interesting too. The boogeyman, Bob Bugner, is one of the assistants.
Ex-Red Wing hockey player, correctly?
This game is tied 1-1.
Now, speaking of defensemen, Johnny Boychuk comes in, and with that big boom shot that he has, and again, it starts with a face-off win. John Tavares was on the ice for the face-off loss, ends up in his net. John Tavares is on the face-off win, ends up in Stalock's net. It's up right off the post. Tavares wins the face-off. Boychuk steps right in, and that just goes right by everybody. That's a knuckleball. Howie Rose can appreciate that tonight, no doubt about that. And the score is all tied up. Johnny Boychuk can really shoot that puck. But again, face-offs are so important. So Johnny loses one, Johnny wins one, Johnny puts it in the net.
He had 9 goals last season, 26 helpers for 35 points. Has his first of this season. Tavares assisting 21 seconds into the second period.
And that's the kind of start that the Islanders needed. As Travis Hamonic talked about in the intermission, team can play better. He thought they played all right, and perhaps he's right. They played just all right. Not as good as they can. Well, they stepped it up early.
Got the crowd right back into this. Second period goal that San Jose has given up this season, and the Islanders are trying to knock on the door again. But here comes Thornton. Joe Thornton at the control, center run across, and it's 2-1. Nice play. Godolphin has the goal.
That was a special play, and Joe Thornton is as good a playmaker as there's ever been in the National Hockey League, and he just creates time and space. It's a 3-on-2. He's got his head up all the way. Pavelski's driving towards the net, and look at this pass to Godolphin. I mean, this is a empty net goal. All he has to do is handle it, slap it in. Casey Cizikas can't get back in time, and you can't afford to give up a 3-on-2 against this line. DeHaan has caught up the ice. Clutterbuck is back, but Casey can't get back, and the Islanders, who got the early goal, give up one right off the bat.
Yeah, 20 seconds after the Boychuk goal, Godolphin gets his first. Only his second National Hockey League game. He'll tell grandchildren forever that Joe Thornton set him up perfectly.
Well, that was a picture-perfect pass, and Joe, he has a whole bunch of assists during his career. He's done everything that's possible except for win a Stanley Cup, and you know he's looking for one of those. But what a great thrill for the young Nikolai Godolphin as they mark that puck. And he'll have that at some point in time on his mantle, and he'll be able to reminisce, as you say, Jigs, that probably a future Hall of Famer passed him the puck.
I don't have any doubt at all that someday Joe Thornton will be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Islanders down by a goal. Grabowski brings them out of the zone with a feed to Kuhlman. Knocked off his stick by Burns. Kuhlman reached around him. They tried to get it out in front. A delayed penalty call coming. That'll be a slash or a trip.
Slash or trip, and Big Burns, Brent Burns is headed with that big beard of his. Grizzly Adams looking beard is headed to the penalty box. So the Islanders will have a chance to tie this score up. Now there's the referee announcing it. 2 minutes for tripping, very vocally. In behind the net, and he gets his stick caught up in the Brock Nelson skates.
And it's time again for a New York Islanders power play. Brought to you by Volkswagen. Burns for tripping, 1:20 into the second period. Now Oposo takes the puck to the near corner. Back of the net to Lee. To John Tavares. Tavares. Whoop, with Stalock falling, and it comes to the point, and everybody had cheated in. Strome, who had been covering the left point, had jumped in, so they have to go back and regroup. Litsky up to Tavares.
Tavares had the puck, and he recognized the goalie was down, so he just threw it out in the slot. But you're right, missed everybody, Jigs.
Now Oposo to Shedlitsky. Oposo in and out of the near face-off circle. Looked to the point. Put it back in the net to Lee, and then to Tavares. Had to reach for it. Gave it to Lee. To Oposo. Now to Strome. To Lee, and hard around the boards. Knocked down by Tavares. His centering pass goes back to the icing line, and it's Anders Lee controlling it. Around now to Strome. Shedlitsky to Tavares. To Strome. Shoots. That changed direction. Comes off the end boards, then banged in, and the goaltender's without his helmet. He is complaining. The referee emphatically indicating it's a good goal. No doubt this will be challenged.
I don't know if you can challenge this one, Jakes, because his helmet came off. You're supposed to stop the play if you see it in time, but he didn't see it, and the puck ends up in the net. So I don't think you can challenge this. I think this is going to be a good goal. It's a good call on the ice.
All four Zebras are gathered together in the official's crease.
Yeah, but you got to blow the whistle. You got to be attempting to blow the whistle. So the goaltender's helmet got knocked off it. That whistle was never blown, so I don't know how you're going to not call this a good goal. That was the call on the ice. If you see it, you're supposed to call it, but if you don't see it, how can you call it? There's the wrist shot from the side, and there's his helmet gets, I think he knocked his own helmet off. And it gets into the net along with John Tavares. Watch the goaltender. Let's see how his helmet comes off. He's in front of the net. Look at this. Look at this. That's garbage. That should not. I don't know if the NHL can do anything about that, but that is garbage. He was out of position, and he wanted to knock his own helmet off. That is terrible.
Page 13 of the rule book, section 1, equipment. When a goalkeeper deliberately removes his helmet and or face mask in order to secure a stoppage of play, the referee shall stop the play as outlined above, and in this case assess the goalkeeper a minor penalty for delaying the game. But when the goalkeeper has lost his helmet and or face mask and his team has control of the puck, the play shall be stopped immediately.
There's the shot with Ryan Strome. Looks like it glanced a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with his helmet. He can still see perfectly clear. He just recognizes that he can stop the play by knocking his helmet off. That's terrible. In my opinion, that is really garbage, because if you looked at it,
good goal.
Yeah, that should be a good goal, but I don't like what he did. He was trying to use the rules to his advantage, Jigs, and shame on him for doing that. I think that's just terrible.
Would you yank him now if you were back at the bench? No.
Well, the coach is not going to yank him because he recognized he was out of position. He got hit with the puck in the mask a little bit, and then he just said, hey, I can stop the play if I roll it off. Look at him. I mean, holy smokes. You have to go at it twice. Yeah, it may have glanced off his mask, but he certainly wasn't half on and half off.
Referee Francois Saint-Laurent was very emphatic.
Well, he counted it in, and now the replay shows clearly that was really a minor league move.
So we're tied 2-2. Loose puck in the Islander end of the ice. Gahan moved it on. Bailey can't get it out of there. And a delayed penalty call coming against the Islanders. There was a hit, a takedown in the Islander end of the ice.
And Travis Hamonic, for tripping, had his stick extended, and I believe the San Jose Shark forward stepped on it. Travis didn't like it. Now we got a little momentum going, a lot of heat going. In front of the net, there's Travis Hamonic. First eye takes Pavelski down. No call there. Now watch this, and he's still got his stick hung and still caught up in between his legs. Tough call. But he did trip him, Jakes, no doubt about that. But he did have a stick already in the previous commitment to check him. So neither coaches are particularly thrilled with the referees today.
No, not even 3 minutes into the second period. We've had 3 goals scored. Now a couple of penalties called. The game is 2-2. Pavelski fed it across. Right back from Burns to Thornton, top of the near circle. Shot one that wasn't tipped by anybody, and Pavelski ends up turning it over.
Quick passes by the Sharks, though, along the top of the triangle. By the Sharks, creating some opportunities.
San Jose with the man advantage, and they'll have to go all the way back and regroup. The tying goal is lead from Strome and Tavares at the 2:28 mark. So John Tavares with 2 more points. Both assists in tonight's game.
John's been on a bit of a tear in his last 3 games.
Hans Nielsen has cleared the puck out. Joe Pavelski, Little Joe, the Big Joe Thornton here on the right. Puck got away from him. And the Islanders able to clear it the length of the ice.
Yeah, nice job by Nick Leddy being very strong on the puck. Marleau tried to steal it from him, but Leddy was strong on the stick and able to clear that puck.
Wingles gets the San Jose team into the Islander end of the ice. Nice read by Bailey to go to the end boards. Knocking it away from Ward. Ward was sparked back to the net as they reversed the play. Everything moves to the near wing, and the Islanders, Josh Bailey had it, couldn't clear it.
Josh had an opportunity. Needs to be strong along those boards. Have to win those battles.
And they set up off the far wing to the blue line. Tennyson here on the left side, but goes to the far side, and the long shot, no problem for Halak.
Vlasic shot that puck. Ward was in front, but he moved to the side to kind of change the angle, give Vlasic a little bit of a passing lane. That didn't work out as Adrian Vlasic decided to shoot that puck. Very good player for these Sharks. 9 power play goals last year, so you give him an opportunity. 9 goals, not 9 power play goals, but he's very, very good on the power play.
Face off in the Islander end of the ice. Boychuk hammered it off the boards, off the defenseman who was covering. Danilo and the Islanders able to clear it, and with that, Travis Hamonic is on the skates and steps out of the penalty box. So no damage done. Well, Hamonic served that tripping call.
Halak was helping himself with that last clear. It's nice when the goaltender can handle a puck.
Ron Nielsen turned it around to Johnny Boychuk, who is one of the 2 Islander goals tonight. Now Oposo gets over the line. He's got Nielsen coming late. The pass was behind Franz and will end up on the right wing.
Good try by Kyle Oposo. Just throw it across that crease. Maybe get a lucky bounce. Franz Nielsen driving to the net.
Nick Leddy leading the attack. Oposo centers one again. Swept out of the goal mouth by the keeper, or the goaltender in this game, Stalock. And the Sharks dump it down ice. Halak unable to get it to Strome, who was open on the right wing boards. So long shot from the blue line. That went off. The Shark parked in front of the net. Ben Smith went off his helmet.
He's hurt as he heads over to the net. A crazy hop. Halak never saw the puck.
Now Thornton. Well, it wasn't Thornton, excuse me. It was Goodrow playing it around to the far side.
89 instead of 19. Can't always see the number.
Tennyson here at the blue line lost control of it, and on comes Tavares. Tavares over the line, centering past to Lee. Moves in, right in on the goal mouth, and was turned aside by Stalock. And then up into the protective netting and out of play. The Islanders have been down 1-0, have been down 2-1, and are now tied 2-2. Download MSG Go, the only app that lets you watch MSG Network's coverage of live Knicks and Red Bulls games anywhere. Download now at the App Store or Google Play. MSG Go is currently available to Optimum subscribers. Islanders and the Sharks tied 2-2.
This is the puck off the ear of Ben Smith. It's not a game for the faint of heart. Ben Smith goes over, going in for the dressing room now for some repairs. Likely needs some stitch. It's the one area that most players don't have any kind of coverage or protection, Jags, is the ears. And you kind of need it wide open because you got to be able to talk to your teammates as well as hear them. So if you've got covers over those ears, then you're not going to be able to hear as well. So that's an important part of the game, and that's an unlucky part of the game for Ben Smith as he takes a puck off the ear. He's probably thinking at least it could have gone into the net, then I would have had a goal, and would have been suffering as much.
Update from Citi Field. The Mets lead the Cubs 1-0. The crowd here just informed of that. Big crowd on a Saturday night at the Barclays Center. Obviously not everybody baseball fans.
That was a home run too, right? The one run?
I believe so. We just glanced at the big scoreboard a moment ago. I showed a replay. We watch Matt Martin with a long pass out the right side for Cizikas. Daniel Murphy homered, by the way.
He's been real good in these playoffs.
Clutterbuck unable to control the puck, do anything with it. The Sharks got it to the line. The Islanders held it only momentarily. And now Hickey steps in front of Tierney, but he's still able to propel the puck back to the Islanders' net.
Sharks with only 2 shots this period. They had 10 in the first period. Only after total's only at 12 right now, where the Islanders of 17.
Wingles tried to get it to the blue line. That was tapped aside, and here's Matt Martin on the rush at the end of a long shift. He stuffed it in and gives chase and gets the man. Grabowski got the puck, gave it to Boychuk. Band on the shot, and it'll come out into the center ice area after having been blocked.
Yeah, he was rushed by Hurdle, so he didn't get a whole lot on it. But a nice play from Grabowski, creating time and space again just inside the blue line, and finds the late-coming Johnny Boychuk.
John Tavares didn't get a chance to throw out the first ball tonight at Citi Field, but he did back in 2009 throughout the first pitch at a Mets game. That's hit in on the left side. And then the following year at the Rogers Center with his Blue Jays jersey. And, of course, there was no Tulowitzki at that time on Bobby Bautista's T-shirt. So John has handled the first pitch duties.
He's a big baseball fan, in particular the Blue Jays. Wears his T-shirt in the morning along with his cap. So he certainly is focusing on this game, but he'll be paying attention later on as to what's going on.
Except when he got home, when he got back to Ontario this past summer, the Jays weren't doing that well. They didn't watch that many games, but as they made a couple of deals and the team picked up the pace, he was right into it big time. Here is Kuhlman on the rush to DeHaan. DeHaan played it softly back of the net. Kuhlman is there trying to get a stick on it. And Grabowski reached and couldn't get a stick on it. Oposo took the man. Pavelski took the puck and shot it wide of the Islanders' net.
The Islander pace has gotten better and better as this game has progressed. Able to maintain a lot more speed through the neutral zone, henceforth a little bit more time in the offensive zone.
Bailey, Nielsen, and Oposo, the forward line for the New York Islanders. Good check put up here. Frans Nielsen to Josh Bailey. And Nielsen, his shot was right on. Stalock got enough of that to make the save, and it's cleared down into the Islanders' end where Leddy gives chase.
Well, let's remember that the Sharks played last night, and perhaps that'll help the Islanders as the game continues.
They did not skate here this morning. The Islanders had an optional skate. Several did exercise their option. Frans Nielsen from back of the net, out in front. Goal. Poso is denied. Nice setup. Now the Sharks trying to get a 3-on-1 rush going. Islanders back quickly. The pass in front. They score! Marleau driving to the net. Receives a perfect feed, and it's 3-2 San Jose.
The Islanders get trapped again. A nice play behind the net originally with Frans Nielsen and Kyle Oposo. Stalock makes the save, and then the good transition for the San Jose Sharks. Leddy is back. Again, watch the plays. Kyle Oposo gets himself in good position. Ward gets the puck out. Boychuk steps up on the play, and then Leddy sees a 2-on-1 trap. Nieto hangs onto the puck. A perfect pass from Ward through the top of the crease. Great patience by Nieto as he hangs on, and Ward points to him and says, "That was one heck of a pass you gave to me." And Ward slides it in the net. Nick Leddy not happy with himself because he went down a little early, Jigs. He should have just stayed on his feet and said, "Hey, Nieto, you can hang on to the puck. You're going nowhere."
My apologies to Patrick Barlow, who is Ward, is fourth. Ward, excuse me, is first as a San Jose Shark.
They admired him because they wanted a little more grit in front of that net, a little different style of play.
The Islanders down by a goal for the third time tonight. Thomas Hickey gets the puck deep into the zone. Tavares coming late. Put it to the side of the net. That'll be cleared back towards Strome. Strome shot just went wide. Kind of a slap pass in reality. And here's Tavares with it. Tavares trying to buy some space. Fired one. That's deflected in front. Back to the point. Hamonic to DeHaan. To Hamonic. Hamonic down the right wing boards. Around to Tavares. Little stutter step trying to get somebody open. Look at the way he protects the puck. Then got checked on the play. And the Sharks able to clear it out.
It was Tavares and Hurdle one-on-one. Tavares was winning that battle, so Dillon, the defenseman, stepped up and helped the youngster on the coverage of Tavares, able to fly that puck loose from John.
Travis Hamonic gave it away. Pavelski centers. There's a shot off the right arm of Pavelski. Golden over in the far corner, reversed things to the near side of the ice. Pavelski held it in at the blue line. Thornton open momentarily at the side of the net. Algodoban is checked, and the Islanders will get out of there, led by Cizikas. Cizikas. Big hit on DeMello. Stalock, the goaltender, got the second assist on that San Jose goal to give them the 3-2 lead.
DeMello and Tennyson out there against the fourth line trying to Peter DeBoer trying to give his top four defenseman a little rest whenever he has that opportunity, and that's usually what a coach does. He'll play his 5-6 defenseman against the fourth line whenever he gets the opportunity. He's seeing that right now. Jack Capuano, I guess, doesn't mind that matchup. Although Pavelski's on the out there right now with Big Joe Thornton.
Pavelski has to leave the face-off area. Thornton on the draw, and Cizikas beat him. Faces Cizikas and Travis Hamonic. At the right side for Clutterbuck on the Matt Martin. Chipped it only to the San Jose line, and Pavelski able to get it to Thornton. Played it toward the net. Locke turns that to the corner for Cizikas. He chips it high in the air, bouncing it down into the San Jose end. Not far enough nor fast enough for an icing call. For Tennyson, the young defenseman went back. Now Hurdle clears the distance into the Islanders' zone. Boychuk tying it up on the end boards. It was knocked loose. They feed it back to the right point. That's Burns with a shot.
Locke's still looking.
Yeah, it was off to the boards to his right.
Ward and Johnny Boychuk were in front, caromed off of one of them.
And the Islanders go offside as they get to the San Jose blue line. Just under 8 minutes to play, period number 2.
Second period, the Sharks have jumped into the lead for the third time. They lead 3-2 on a goal by that man there, number 42, Ward. This play all starts with the Islanders' offensive opportunity. Johnny Boychuk steps up on the play, and he's going to get trapped as the Sharks will break out in a big hurry. Joel Ward's going to come down the middle. Nieto has the puck. He's driving wide. Joel Ward, just patience, waits for that pass from Nieto. What a beautiful pass. Leddy goes down just a little bit early. Ward didn't mind that as he taps it in to give the Sharks their third lead of the game.
Nieto and Stalock. The assist, the goal at the 9:20 mark of the second period. Boychuk and Leddy teamed up on the Islander defense. Number 2, Nick Leddy up through Bailey. Stefan Nielsen. Nielsen driving in for a loose puck. Goes back to the net with it. Out to Boychuk. Lets one go off Stalock, and the rebound is cleared to the center ice area.
Good hard shot by Boychuk, but nobody in front, so Stalock was able to establish good position at the top of the circle and make that save. Islanders got to rush to the net when they see the defensemen are going to have an opportunity.
Tavares just intercepted an errant pass. It goes off Strome. Tavares gets to it. Lowers the shoulder, controlled the puck, but couldn't get it through to Anders Lee. Hickey knocked it down at the blue line. Tavares with it. Tavares played it away from Wingles. Back to Hickey. Came outside the line and back in offside. They rolled. So the clock is stopped with 7 minutes remaining in the period. Don't miss out on the Islanders' inaugural season here in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. Individual game tickets are on sale now. Visit Islanders.nhl.com or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000 to purchase tickets to some of the best games of the season.
Hickey's first game back in the start of the season since that injury during training camp. Makes a nice play to keep it in there earlier on, Jigs, but he's able to do that because Ryan Strome was backing him up. Defensemen can't stand up if the forwards aren't backing him up. Thomas Hickey looks pretty sharp for a guy that hasn't played since training camp.
Ryan Straight on the sidelines tonight with Hickey back in the lineup.
Hickey with paired along with Zidlitsky, the 5'6" defenseman. I'm not telling them that, though, because they think they're 1-2.
Just in the rotation. Who gets the start? It's Brock Nelson with a shot off the left side. Somebody in front. Nelson centers again. Grabowski's shot was blocked. Zidlitsky orders in behind the net. Wrap around in and out of the blue ice. And to the far corner, Grabowski reaching for it. And now Brock Nelson trying to center, gets double teamed over on the far boards. Nelson trying to buy some space.
Protecting the puck too, real nice job. Nowhere to go with him, so he didn't just throw it away aimlessly. He protected the puck, forcing the Sharks to bear down just a little bit. Nice shift by that line again. They continue to play a very consistent game. The very strong on the puck, very strong around the net, so there seems to be some pretty good chemistry there. Grabowski allows the two bigger forwards to do a little more of the legwork. I can understand that. I used to let Sutter and Gillies do a lot of that stuff there. So Grabowski being the smart guy, hanging in the slot, but it's working for him because they are creating some offensive opportunities.
Puck had just gone into the Islanders players bench. That's the face-off taking place at center ice. And the Islanders come back to tie it. The shot from Okposo, the rebound was there, and the puck was banged in. The tie this hockey game at 13:58 of the second.
Well, the third time the Islanders have been able to come back, and it's good forechecking, and it's Josh Bailey who starts the playoff in behind the net, being able to get it out to Kyle Okposo. The good chip in. There's the pressure by Frans Nielsen. Bailey in behind the net. Knows that Kyle Okposo's in the slot. The shot. But again, it works because Bailey's not standing there watching. He makes the play, and he gets back to the front of the net, and then he's able to chip the puck into the net. So that's what you call good hard work, not admiring your passes. Go to the net, Jakes, you might score. And he did.
I could never get to the net. Not a chance. Bailey with a second from Okposo at 13:58. Here's Joe Thornton working the end boards in the Islanders zone. A couple on the near boards. A battle there, and it's won by the Islanders. Kuhlman has moved it across. Hamonic lets it across the blue line. Hamonic to Kuhlman, who had been upset. Puck just went wide and now cleared to center. DeHaan back for the Islanders. Calvin DeHaan, number 44. Teamed up with number 3. Hamonic is the defense pair. Brock Nelson over on right wing into the high slot to DeHaan. He shoots Stalock to save. No further play. Nice setup, though, for the Islanders. We'll step out for a moment with 5:22 left in the second period. Islanders 3, Shy 3-3 in this game. And tomorrow on MSG, get ready for the Giants' big Monday night matchup against the Eagles. That's Giants 1st and 10, presented by Stop and Shop. Tomorrow morning, 10:30 on MSG. Coming in tonight, San Jose and Minnesota in the West, Montreal in the East, the only undefeated teams in the National Hockey League. And the Islanders have this visiting team from out west, and a 3-3 tie at the moment.
Yeah, they're off to a terrific start. Montreal Canadiens, boy, they've been good.
Nice face-off win by Tavares. Strong shot was just off the target a bit. San Jose had allowed 2 goals in the first 13 periods of hockey this season, and tonight give up 3 in the second period to the New York Islanders.
Islanders and Sharks, I mean, these teams get an awful lot of shots at the net. They're very offensive-minded. A lot of skill out there. I mean, Pavelski, Thornton, Marleau, Tavares, Frans Nielsen, Kyle Okposo. I mean, just to name a few. But I like what's going on with the Islanders over the last little while. Defense are really jumping up, getting involved in the play, creating 3-on-2s, creating 4-on-3s. And that's Jack Capuano's type of hockey, is get everybody involved.
Ryan Strome just floated one a little wide of the net. It's held in. Anders Lee with a setup here for Nick Leddy. Takes it off the boards. In deep as you see. Couldn't get a shot to the net. That allows the Sharks to move out. Ward down the right side. He's knocked off the puck.
Leddy showing some physical prowess out there. Knocking big Joel Ward down. That isn't easy.
Ward going to the net, but without the puck as Barlow dropped it back to the blue line, and Brent Burns fired one that was blocked. Ward back to the net, unable to center it cleanly. Marleau gets tied up. Trying to reach around Tavares. And the Islanders have cleared it. No icing called. Both teams trying to make some player changes.
Wholesale changes. About 8 guys running to the bench.
Great speed. It's been down here. Brown leading the Russian originally, and Hamonic has moved it on, and here's Grabowski. 3 men surrounding him. Grabowski dumped it in.
Good chip and chase there, Jakes. Don't turn the puck over at the blue line. The last 5 minutes of the period. Smart play by Grabowski.
San Jose changing up again after getting the puck in deep. Brock Nelson trying to chase Wingles up the board. It was fired right on and turned aside. Now Grabowski gets a stick on it. Sends Kuhlman away. 3 Sharks are back. Kuhlman out just inside the line. It's cleared out and all the way down. And they're going to rule it had been touched, so no icing. Hamonic getting a little support here from DeHaan. But the puck is brought off the boards, and
Ringos tried to jam that one in. It almost caromed in off of Travis Hamonic from the front of the net.
Tierney buys some space. That one down low. Nieto shot went off the far boards. And DeHaan takes it away. Melvin DeHaan looked one way, turned the other. Played it to Matt Martin. Now to Clutterbuck on the near side, but that goes out of play at the penalty box. Stopping the clock with 2:45 left in the second period.
A little push from the Sharks in the offensive zone, but the Islanders with some good solid defensive play prevented anything major happening. That being a goal in their net. Bailey gets his second of the year. Frans Nielsen is 200th assist, 299 points in his career. So now all we got to do is let Frans score a goal, and that'll be his 100th goal. So a couple of milestones for Frans Nielsen, and I love the way he plays both ends of the rink. Such a dedicated, motivated athlete.
He is out there now, centering for Josh Bailey and Calaposo. Puck was going wide of the net, and goaltender Jaroslav Halak is grabbed it and held on. Look at these numbers.
Yeah, just a real nice career. 529 games for Frans. And whenever you talk about him with his offense, he's such a gifted individual, and he always goes, I know I can do better. I need to do better. I know I can do better. And he's such a committed player.
From Denmark, as we watch Thornton fire one toward the net, only to have it blocked. And the Islanders get it to the San Jose line. Burns was back. Burns and the youngster Dillon teamed up on their defense. It's Leddy and Boychuk for the Islanders on their D. Boychuk's pass to Frans Nielsen, who chips it on into the San Jose under the ice, and Stalock hard around the boards and out of there. Joel Ward plays it on into the Islander end. Hickey playing it up to the ice, and here comes Grabowski. Drop pass at the blue line. Kudlitsky, who had jumped in on the play, rubbed out on the end boards, but Grabowski was there. Ullman chases it to the far side of the ice. A double team, a little off balance. So the Sharks will get a chance to sort things out. Vlasic played it off Hickey, and at center ice, it's controlled by Zidlitsky. Hickey.
Nice back checking by Kuhlman, is able to poke check that puck in the neutral zone and get it to Zidlitsky.
Vlasic trying to buy a little time, sneaks down the left wing, fires one that didn't get to the net. Richard Zidlitsky, I believe, and it comes off the glass on the near side of the ice for Matt Martin. Martin to Hickey. Around to Zidlitsky. He's got his hands full tying up Tierney. Shot by Burns from the point. A low one right into the big goal pads of the goaltender. And then a little bit of a meeting develops off to his left.
That was a real good shot by Burns. Changed the angle at the top of the blue line. Just slipped a little bit to his from right to left and got away in a hurry. Forcing Halak to make a real nice save as everybody was collapsing. And look at this. Watch Burns as he's going to just hang, and then a quick release. Halak's in the perfect position. He's able to follow it all the way in and cover it up and no rebound. But you can see why Burns can score goals. That was just a great release. Put himself into a shooting position. And that's not easy to do when you're skating backwards.
Well, the more you look at Brent Burns, you think there's got to be a twin somewhere in the old Smith Brothers cough drops.
We could certainly do a commercial.
Good. I'm going to let my beard grow, I think, just like that.
Him and Leddy should get together.
Nick is so well trimmed and groomed. And here's Burns. McMahon Mountain Dean.
Got a fight with his razor, I guess.
Icing call against the San Jose Sharks. Butch, Howie, I presume, and Shannon will all be in San Jose on the 10th of November. World Series is over by November 10th, right? Yeah. You guys will final. Be in Northern California for that one on the 10th. These two teams match up again.
Well, that's the first real major trip out to the West Coast with the Sharks, the Ducks.
John Tavares winning the draw, but couldn't get it back to Hamonic in time. So Probowski rushed into the Islander end. With 25 seconds left in the second period, Islanders better be careful here. Burns with a shot off his stick, and Hamonic touched it up ahead. Anders Lee gets it out of there. Brent Burns, cross ice, off the boards, out of the reach of Probowski. Ricocheted right to the goal mouth, which you saw. Hahn fed Lee, had a little trouble with it in the center ice area. So Brown bought it over the line, and there's the horn. Ending period number 2. The Islanders outscored the Sharks in the second period. That extra goal gets them all even at 3-3.
And I like the way they played. They were the better team in the second period. They came on a lot more zip, a lot more energy, a lot more defensive participation into the offensive zone. They worked hard. They owned the corners. They need that same kind of energy, that same kind of zip, the same kind of commitment in that third period. They continue to do that, Jakes. They're going to end up on the right side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, 20 minutes remaining. The outshoot San Jose 12-7 in the second period. And you see Shannon Hogan will be joined by Josh Bailey in just a few moments. We'll go back to the city for some updates from Hockey Night Live and a look to what's coming up there tonight. So stay tuned now for the second period intermission report. It's presented by Chevrolet as Josh Bailey gets set to join Shannon Hogan. Back with that after this. Some great action through 40 minutes of play, and New York Islanders hockey is being presented by Geico. 3-3 with the Islanders leaving their dressing room here at the Barclays Center and headed for the ice surface. Good chance to take some time and answer the trivia question that was brought to you by Cadillac earlier tonight. Talked about Joe Thornton, the 6th guy amongst active players with a plus rating of 178. The 5 players with a higher rating. You question whether they're current or past. Here's the answer. 5 with a higher rating. Jaromir Jagr, Methuselah, Marian Hossa, Henrik Sedin, Zdeno Chara, and Daniel Sedin. Obviously all current, active.
Yep.
The National Hockey League. That's our Cadillac trivia question.
Lofty company there.
Speaking of Joe Thornton, he is the subject here. DraftKings brings you our look at the DraftKings of the night spotlight. And Joe Thornton, 904 assists, has 2 in this game, assisting on Pavelski's first goal of the night, and then Goldobin getting his first goal of his NHL career, with Thornton assisting on that one in 2, 904, but trailing the mullet, Jaromir Jagr. Play daily fantasy hockey on DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of the National Hockey League.
Well, he's been a tremendous player for a long period of time, a former #1 pick for the Boston Bruins, and we've witnessed some of his wizardry today with his pinpoint passing, his timing, and just his ability to be able to recognize what's happening, and the great hockey sense, seeing that 3-on-2, and then what a pass he made to Godolphin. I mean, it just was beautiful, beautiful pass. It's not the first time he's done that. It's not his first rodeo, as some people like to say, Jigs.
Nope, definitely not. Play being called back right from the opening drop. I want to take a moment to wish Kenny Moore. Well, we'll take another little twist and turn here. When this man, Peter DeBoer, left the Kitchener Rangers to go to Florida to coach the Panthers, the guy that took his spot was Steve Spot. He is the assistant coach now with San Jose, as is Bob Bugner. Coaches Association.
Friendships are built up at different times.
Apparently so, yeah. Scrambling play, and the Islanders enter the ice, try to tighten things up here. Boychuk turned it around the boards. Pullman got bumped from behind, so Boychuk has to give chase.
You have to win those battles, Jigs, along the boards and get that puck out.
Marlowe won the battle here, and the puck fired toward the net. A lock got a chunk of it. He gets turned around, and the Islanders are fortunate to be able to clear it and right to the goaltender Stalock. He'll try a quick up, catching the Islanders on a player change. Pavelski over the line. Get it off to Brent Burns. Burns put it out in front. That's picked off by Hamonic. Travis Hamonic can't get it to Bailey, but what a battle ensued. Pavelski got away from his man and is parked at the side of the net. Now goes back in the net to recover. The Hahn on him. Hamonic unable to move it. But Franz Nielsen was there to help out. Gave it to Oposo. Can't chip it up the boards and out.
Sharks very aggressive defense, pinching down early.
There's a shot just off the target. Goldobin got that away. Martin waiting for it on the far boards. It's reversed.
Look how deep Braun is playing in the corner, number 61. That's supposed to be a defenseman.
Now he's just chipped the puck into the Islander zone and heads off for a rest. The Islanders trying to get something going through the neutral zone. Bailey tipped the puck down into the San Jose end of the ice. Burns is back. Nieto dropped it back. Long stretch pass out the right side. And the Sharks with some speed couldn't manufacture anything. So back comes Tavares. John Tavares pulled up on his bag and played it away from Dillon to the far corner, but not in time for Lee. 3 Islanders back as the Sharks are content to dump it in right to Halak. Out to Tavares. The Landers lead. Lee with Strome trailing. Strome took the pass and fired it high. Rebounded to the blue line for Leddy. That shot went wide. Lee working the end boards here. Under 27, Anders Lee. Tried to get it back to Boychuk. Didn't get it there. Tavares goes to the net. Strome pries it off the boards. Tavares comes off the end boards to the icing line and turns a couple of times. Made the pass. Lee on the backhand. Oh, and it just skidded away from Strome, who was parked at the side of the net.
Johnny Boychuk's
Here's Leddy centering. Strome shot didn't get through.
stood up on Goodrow in the neutral zone, and that allowed the Islanders to have another offensive move.
Brown got the puck to the Islander line, then it goes high over the glass and out of play. I started to wish a happy birthday earlier to a former teammate of yours, so let's finish that. Kenny Morrow, number 6, the Wolfman, whose beard was a little bit thicker than Nick Leddy's or Johnny Boychuk's. Kenny is 59 today.
Boy, it doesn't seem that long ago when Kenny joined the Islanders the same year I did, coming away from Olympic gold medal and then 4 straight Stanley Cups. So one would think he was born under a little bit of a lucky star.
I'll say.
Yeah. Well, his wife Barb tells him that all the time. What she's referring to.
So she should. Kenny, of course, still employed by the New York Islanders.
Does a wonderful job for him, too, as he doesn't do as much work as he used to. Pro scout for the Islanders.
Play is under video review here. Trevor Hansen's on the headset.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the video board for the latest update on tonight's Mets game.
Not sure just exactly why or what they're reviewing. Are you?
Other than Halak got turned around a little bit, and I don't know if the puck ever entered in towards the net. I'm not sure if that happened, but that's the only thing I can think of. Perhaps maybe whether the puck went over the glass, but I don't know why they would be talking to back in Toronto to Mike Murphy and company. So I got to think it has something to do with that goalmouth play, Jigs, if I was going to hazard a guess, and that's basically what I'm doing.
I think you may be right. Take it a little time.
Certainly was no call on the ice, but I don't know what else they'd be reviewing. Paul Clutterbuck's over there. Big Brent Burns is over there checking the play out. Well, let's just take a look. Here's the spin I'm talking about with Halak. Doesn't know where the... Watch him as he's going to turn around. I can't see the puck there, and now he's going around and around. And can't tell if the puck goes in there. Now, there may be a better angle to take a look over the overhead. Again, try to keep an eye on the puck around the crease area, whether you can see it goes in or not. Now, his leg was there, but you can't tell whether that puck ever crossed the goal line. So there was no call on the ice. The referee was right there, so I can't imagine that there's anything there that would be conclusive enough, and that's a key word, Jakes, conclusive evidence to suggest that that puck was in the net, because it was certainly hidden. Where it was, I don't know, and I wonder if Mike Murphy knows. Maybe he's got x-ray vision. He could see through those pads. You think so? My former right winger.
And former roommate, and I think he could see right through you most of the time, too.
He did. Here we go.
All right, Mr. Hansen, what do you...
After video review, the call on the ice stands, no goal.
Yeah, they got it right. We got it right. Everybody's happy if you're an Islander fan. Let's just take one more look. But again, Halak, he's got the post. He's not sure where the puck is. And Pavelski comes in, pokes at him a little bit, and then you see the puck come loose. And look at the play by Grabowski, keeping that puck out. There was a little ping pong going on right there, and Grabowski helps his goaltender out by being strong on the puck, finally clears it. So couldn't tell if that puck went in the net or not.
Grabowski's stick exploded on the faceoff, but his teammate Nick Leddy has the puck. Grabowski's got a new twig, and then Chasing the puck on his man, but not control of the puck. The Islanders do get a stick on it, and Kuhlman was checked. And Joel Ward banks one off a teammate who rushes through center ice and recovers the puck smartly, trying to make something happen here.
Ward coming late, got away a pretty good shot.
And the Islanders able to clear it all the way down, and look where Stalock went to move it up quickly. Hurdle in the high slot. Glove save by Halak, and no further play.
Hurdle on the forehand had a real good look. Anytime you're on the forehand, you have a better angle when you shoot the puck. The young Czech let a pretty nice wrist shot going. But watch Halak as he's able to establish position. There's the quick up from Stalock. Everybody driving towards the net. Marleau creating time and space for his line mate. But look at Halak. Flashes that glove on the top of the crease. Down low, picks it up, controls the rebound. So good attempt by Hurdle, better save by Halak. A couple of H's there.
Joe Thornton is asked to leave the face-off area. Pavelski comes in, the right-hander. Ron Nielsen won the draw. On the rush is Calvin DeHaan. Played it around the boards. Stalock. Turn, played it up this near wing. Shot right back in by Hamonic, and the Islanders have tagged up to get the play onside. Here's Burns. He led everybody in ice time through the first 40 minutes of tonight's game.
He led his team last year in ice time at over 25 minutes per game.
Bailey just stole the pass. It's Poso on the way. Fires off the goaltender and wide.
He just didn't have a good enough jump.
Now he comes back and scores. Got his own rebound off the boards, and it's given the Islanders their first lead of the night.
Well, he had enough jump there, Jigs. He jumped out in front of the net after the puck was kept in. He got away an initial shot. Dylan blocked him off. It was a quick up from Josh Bailey over to Kyle Oposo. Didn't have the good speed to get past Dylan, but he stayed with it. The quick pass is knocked down. Bailey, quick release over to Kyle. Look at that shot there. Aggressive Stalock. Kyle stays with it and just comes right out in front as he beats Dylan back to the front of the net. So give Kyle Oposo lots of credit with a good second effort, strength, go to the front of the net, the dirty area they said last year. Well, now it's an area that you get rewarded in if you go there. Kyle Oposo has given his team the lead.
Yes, 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 chant goes up from a crowd of 11,557. And it looks like a bigger crowd than that here at the Barclays Center on a Saturday night. One of only 4 Saturday night home games for the Islanders this season.
First time the Islanders have had the lead in this game. 3 times they have come back to tie the Sharks. And now they finally have the lead.
Clutterbuck line. Hitting a west now. They change up. Frans Nielsen and his unit have come out together. Thomas Hickey broke up the rush initially in the center ice area. Kearney unable to clear it across the line, and here's Tavares back the other direction. Got some time around the boards intended for Lee. It got through him, through Strome as well, but Lenny was there.
Didn't come cheap either when you're talking about buying time, Jakes.
This is Anders Lee, and the feet taken out from under Tavares from back of the net. Banked it off the pipe. The goal post to the left. Got it again. The captain of the Islanders with a couple of points in tonight's game. High slot fired. That changed direction.
Yeah, Lee and Strome in front. Not sure who it hit. Classic was there also, but John Tavares kept control of the puck, was not willing to give it up, and kept his feet moving. Finally created an offensive opportunity for himself.
Frans Nielsen moves in. His shot was turned aside. It was low along the ice, and Oposo peeled off the boards. Gave it to Bailey for a drive that was blocked. Thornton will bring it out. Pavelski up ahead of him. Thornton dumped it in, and that's going to be called back. 14:02 left in the third period of tonight's game.
Fans are into it, and the Islanders have picked up their pace. Goals usually do that for you. Everything becomes a little easier. The legs get a little lighter. They get a little faster. The head's more into it. All of those things are good. And the Islanders are using all those elements to enhance their game.
Islanders are in Columbus on Tuesday night. Back here at the Barclays Center next Friday night, the 23rd, October 23rd, and the visitors are the Boston Bruins. Doc Nelson relaying the pass from Hamonic down into the zone. Grabowski in after it. So was Kuhlman. Nelson to Hamonic at the point. Over to DeHaan, who shot it wide. Joe Thornton played it off the boards, actually turned it over. Brock Nelson tries to buy some room. He's cross-checked from behind. No penalty call. Pavelski open on right wing. Got it to Thornton. And it's cleared out by Burns, and the Islanders hustle back and take control. Nelson to Hamonic. Hamonic fires one, glove save, and Stalock drops it off, tries for quick up on the left side. Marleau couldn't take the pass.
The Islanders would be better served to chip the puck in to the opposite corner or use a wraparound. Stalock moves the puck very, very well with the quick upsticks.
Martin has just dumped it in, and Cal Clutterbuck in his 500th game tonight set up Martin for a shot that was blocked. Got it right back and fired wide. DeHaan to Martin in front. Bounces off a check. Battling for the puck. Got some backup help from Hickey. Couldn't get it through to Martin on the second effort. So Marleau played it into the Islanders zone, and Thomas Hickey rushes it back. It was stripped away from him, but right there to help with Cizikas. This line heads off for a rest as the Sharks try to come up the left side. Hertl bounces it into the Islander end of the ice. Sharp angle shot, cleared aside, and on comes Ryan Strome with a pass to Nick Leddy. Leddy put it back in the net. Stalock turns it to the opposite side. Justin Braun works it up ahead for a teammate. The Islanders broke up the rush at the blue line. Strome is able to find Leddy. He finds Tavares into the high slot. Tavares fed it off. There's a shot from Bailey that caught the end glass and bounces all the way down into the Islander end. Joe Thornton after it. Hamonic beat him to it. The two of them arm in arm as they come to the near boards, and it's Hamonic able to clear it. But this is traveling the distance for an icing call.
Great pace out there for the Islanders. I mean, they're the quicker team. They're all over the Sharks. They're able to get on through all the loose pucks, Jigs. Their gap control has been exceptional in the neutral zone, so the Sharks have not been able to get any flow coming through that middle of the ice. John Tavares, a little drop pass. He saw Bailey early on, and Josh had to get it past Nieto, who had gone down to block the shot.
Tavares with a couple of assists in tonight's game.
Dangerous play by the Sharks as they won the faceoff. Able to get it back to Burns, who was on his wrong side, able to get a good hard shot. Islanders will have to bear down on their defensive faceoffs. Much tougher now that they put their sticks down first and allow the offensive team to get the edge.
Down by a goal, they've made a change. You've got Marleau up on the left side with Thornton and Pavelski now.
That's putting all your eggs in one basket.
Ron Nielsen with a shot, handcuffs Stalock, but he's able to hold on and get a face-off deep in the San Jose zone. Islanders 4, San Jose Sharks 3 in the third. Whether it's celebrating a special occasion with a yes, 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 entertaining clients, hosting a school trip, or raising funds for charity, an Islanders game is the perfect place to enjoy a group outing. For more information about high-fiving players in the tunnel or standing with the Islanders on the ice during the national anthem, here's what you do. Call 844-ISLES-GP. 844-ISLES-GP. Butch is fist pumping here. What's going on?
Yeah. Mets have hit another home run.
Okay.
Darnell has scored.
Now 3-1 Mets over the Cubbies in the sixth. And here the Islanders with a 4-3 lead and chasing the puck back into their own end of the ice. Kudlitsky able to make the play, and it's Oposo moving it on. Bailey chases it down the right side. Won't get there in time, and then he catches up to Brent Burns, who'd gone back of the net. Burns able to move the puck on. Turtle got it to Ward over on the right side. Halak covering the goalpost to his left, has the puck snagged there and forcing a face-off.
Yeah, good smart move by Halak not to allow the forecheck of the San Jose Sharks to get any kind of speed, any kind of flow. Thomas Hertl playing center for the first time, and his coach has said that he's got size, he's got a lot more maturity, and he's getting better and better in his own zone. They drafted him as a centerman, and they're happy with him as a centerman.
At the middle, you've got Thornton, Hertl, Tierney, and Smith for San Jose.
Yeah, with no Couture, who's going to be out for a little while.
Well, centering pass, and Grabowski teamed up smartly with Kuhlman, but couldn't finish it off.
Looking for Brock Nelson, who was coming late.
Now Marlowe gets it down into the Islander end, but right to the goaltender. Boy, that was a sharp angle shot. Really what you would consider to be a bad angle, but he got it on.
Well, that's what you're trying to do nowadays, is shoot from anywhere and everywhere, force the goaltender to make the save or to create a rebound. Thomas Marlowe is able to use that speed, use the boards to his advantage, and then you're right. I mean, that was an unbelievably bad angle shot. But it forced Halak to make a save, and if he drops it, Jakes might end up on the back of his net. So good play by Patrick Marleau, the wily vet. He has something to prove this year. He had a terrible season last year. When you talk on the plus-minus side, Jakes, he was minus 17. He's a way better player than that.
Yeah, it's got to be a resurgent season for him. Off to a good start. But Cizikas has moved the puck, and we watch Clutterbuck come over the line on left wing. Fired one, glove save, and Stalock started out of the net, but had it there for a long enough 3 count. They rolled. 9:50 left in the third. Past the midway point of the third period, the Islanders leading the Sharks 4-3. The keys to the game are brought to you by GMC. See the pros nearest you to test drive one of their award-winning trucks, crossovers, or SUVs today. GMC, we are professional grade.
Well, look at the Isles scoring goals. Got 3 on the San Jose team and some on the national team. And, well, you know what, Jakes? If you don't shoot, you can't score. That's what the coaches will tell you. And the Islanders are second best in the entire National Hockey League. The Sharks are leading the parade. Both teams can put points up on the board when you talk about goals.
Right now, the Islanders have had 27 shots on goal. The Sharks, 24. 4-3, home team leading. Boychuk has just shot it in wide of the San Jose net. Rebounded off the board. Cizikas fired. That was blocked. Stays in the zone. Martin, who had been tangled up with a Shark, got it away to Cizikas. Martin turned around in front of the net. Couldn't handle the pass out. And here's Thornton over the line on left wing. Pulls up, waits for some help to arrive. And then it's turned over as Cizikas had that well read.
Just knocked that one out of the mid-air. Jumbo Joe tried to just dump it into the hole.
Just bunted it, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. That was baseball season still, so bring some of those baseball skills into play.
Big Joe Thornton. High cross-ice pass taken out of the air. Pavelski lost it to DeHaan. And it's moved on here by Grabowski to Pullman. Back to Grabowski. Centers one. Brock Nelson scores! They are red hot. You talk about trying to control one line, 2 lines, 3. You better be able to control all 4 when you meet the Islanders. As Brock Nelson has given them a 5-3 lead.
And it starts with a good play by DeHaan in the defensive zone. Look at the quick passing. Grabowski, who's been skating extremely well. Brock Nelson, I'm not sure if that doesn't go off the stick of Braun. The Stalock drops down, but look at the quick shot. And then the puck goes up and over Stalock. But it all started, Jakes. DeHaan checking Pavelski, and then the quick up, the quick movement of the puck by Grabowski and Kulemin, and then the shot, the finishing touch by Brock Nelson. That line has been real good. They've been very consistent. Talked about them before, and they come through with a nice goal for the Islanders again.
Yes, 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 chant is just dying down as we welcome those of you who've been watching Hockey Night Live on MSG. At the conclusion of our game, we'll get you back to Hockey Night Live. The Islanders, who had trailed 1-0, had trailed 2-1, had trailed 3-2. Got it tied up at 3-3 at the end of 40 minutes. And here in the third, Oposo at the 4:18 mark with his second of the season, and at 11:10 of the period, Brock Nelson with his second of the year. The Islanders are up 5-3 over the undefeated San Jose Sharks.
It might have deflected off the skate of Braun as he turned his right skate and opened it up a little bit, because that puck seemed to rise quickly. Although Brock Nelson certainly has that ability, but Stalock went down right away and then went up over the glove. And Grabowski has been flying the entire night. He's had a good start to his season. Hurt last year a lot of the time, played in the playoffs, but very, very good.
Big rebound off the pads of Halak. Hickey on the end boards, got double teamed, punched a little bit. Blitzky tying up his man. The Islanders get it to the line, but not out. Brent Burns with a shot. That just went wide.
Deflected off Casey Cizikas' stick.
And Cizikas just pried it loose, and he's fed it cross ice. Thomas Hickey in the lineup for the first time tonight after an injury.
And he's been sharp. He looks good. Again, no rust on that young man's body. Good hard worker. Heady hockey player. Plays his angles very, very well. Uses his size to his advantage.
Dillon and Braun were teamed up on defense, a dump in, and the officials calling that. Looking all the way back. 7:24 left in the third.
Gibbs, I was going to say, for any of the fans that have joined us late and haven't seen Paul Martin, well, he's not dressed tonight. We don't know why. He played last night. Perhaps he's hurt, some kind of injury. We won't speculate, but Sharks certainly miss him.
Yeah, he's been coupled up with Brent Burns. They've been quite a combination. Burns has been kind of given the green light to go whenever he wants because you know Martin's going to be back to handle the defensive chores.
And both of them are offensive-minded, but
Islanders are, they are going to get a power play, it appears. The puck shot over the glass.
Sharks did that twice last night in New Jersey, back-to-back times. Braun did it, I believe, once, and I can't quite remember. I think it was Dillon that did it the other time, but so Peter DeBoer is probably going to have a conversation with his players about being a little bit more careful when they're handling the puck and going to clear it, because that's an awful lot of penalty minutes to have to kill, Jakes.
It sure is. You look at Peter DeBoer, you know what he and Jack Capuano have in common?
No idea.
Other than being NHL coaches?
Yeah.
Both former draft picks of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's not a blessing.
That was the voice of Butch Goring for those of you watching on the Center Ice package in Canada.
They've been awful for a long period of time. I guess if you're drafted, it gives you a chance to play for them, though.
DeBoer came out of the Windsor Spitfires operation and the junior team drafted by the Leafs in 1988.
The Islanders cannot afford to get sloppy in any way, shape, or form. They've got to be smart. They've got to be ready to come back in a hurry if they have to. You don't want to give up anything of the shorty nature.
Minute 14 left in this power play for the Islanders. Lee sets up back in the net. Then it around to Tavares. Tavares backs off the face-off circle to the icing line.
Now you're looking for something that looks good.
Godlitsky with a shot that was blocked and the rebound cleared down the ice.
Goodrow looking to jump out on that original shot that was blocked by Placid. And the Islanders have to be aware of that.
Alaposo with a long pass to Strome on left wing. Strome worked it across. Brock Nelson to the blue line for Leddy. In deep, Grabowski to the side of the net. Strome couldn't jam it in. Tavares nudges it back to the point for Leddy. Looked for Grabowski, gave it to Tavares instead. Wise move. Oh, that leather just flashed out there. Stalock grabbing that shot in the big catching glove.
And that was a good play by John Tavares as he worked to get the puck along the boards. Watch Tavares as he'll throw it back to Leddy, and then look at him getting in position and then able to turn his shoulders towards the net to get that shot. Johnny Tavares doesn't get an offensive opportunity, Jakes, if he's lazy on the power play. And Doug Weight talks about that all the time. Don't get lazy on the power play. You got to work harder than the penalty killers if you hope to succeed.
Brock Nelson is coupled up with Franz Nielsen and Mikhail Grabowski on the back end of this power play for the Islanders. 15 seconds left in the man advantage. Boychuk behind his own net to Nick Leddy. The pass across. Found Boychuk. He's motored over the line. Nelson trailing. Boychuk put it in the far corner. Franz Nielsen. Now Grabowski goes back in the net now. Franz Nielsen sorts things out to the face-off dot. Fed Leddy at the point. Leddy's drive, changed direction. Big bounce off the end boards. Nielsen with it here. Around to Nelson. It was bouncing on him. Grabowski unable to tie up his man totally. But the Islanders recover at center, and it's Boychuk moving it to the line, only to have it cleared right back. Teams back at full strength. The Islanders with a 5-3 lead and 4.5 minutes remaining in the third period on home ice. Here's Joe Thornton chasing a loose puck. A check from behind. The puck cleared out ahead. Picked up by Clutterbuck, who cuts the left wing. He's got Martin coming with him. Clutterbuck couldn't make the pass to Martin in time. At Martin. Put it in behind that San Jose goal. Clutterbuck got a piece of his man. But Joe Thornton gets control of the puck. Thornton gave it to DeMello. And down into the Islanders zone it goes, and San Jose is content to make a player change. Brock Nelson plays it outside the blue line. Got away from Kuhlman at center ice, so the Islanders will go back a lot. Winner of 38 games in the nets for the Islanders last season. His first start of this year. After an injury, the puck rolled wide of the San Jose goal as Kuhlman dumped it in. Grabowski feeds it to Brock Nelson. Had to knock it out of the air. It goes to the stick of Grabowski. The Nelson is shot denied. And right out in front again, Kuhlman freed it up. There's Grabowski with a shot that just went wide. Kuhlman battles his way to it.
This line has been tenacious all night. I mean, they've been on the puck first each and every time. They're showing great speed. They've got their legs going tonight. They get my vote as the best line on the ice, Jigs.
Yeah, they've been fun to watch. The Islanders are up by 2. There are the numbers here. 5-3, Islanders leading. And tonight, right after this game, join Al Trafford, Steve Belichick, E.J. Raddick, and John McClain as they take you around the National Hockey League on an all-new Hockey Night Live presented by Geico. That's tonight after this game here on MSG+. Lady Liberty on a Saturday night. I was going to suggest that if you're coming to the next home game when the Boston Bruins are here, dress warmly. It is chilly.
Oh, I feel like I'm in Winnipeg, I got to tell you. In January. Because it is cold in Winnipeg in January, I can assure you that. You know that, Jake.
I do, yeah. It's a little chilly here at the Barclays Center for each of the home games we've been to as well, Butch.
I'm just going to start to bring a sweater. Empty net.
Empty net for Frans Nielsen. There's 100 in his career. And a 6-3 New York Islanders lead.
3 minutes to go and down a couple goals. Peter DeBoer with an offensive faceoff decides to take a chance. And Islanders make him pay. And how fitting is it that Frans Nielsen gets the goal. We talked about him getting his 100th goal. He's played a terrific hockey game. Played well in both ends of the rink. He's been skating, strong in the defensive zone. Hasn't had a lot to do in the penalty kill today. But a few smiles for him, but a nice mark for Frans Nielsen. Well-deserved. Everybody smiles.
His assist on the Josh Bailey goal was his 200th career assist. And now this empty net goal is his 100th goal. So add it up.
Add it up. That's 300 points, Jakes.
Perfect.
That's high school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Windsor Park Collegiate, pal.
We're a little more advanced than what was called. Oh, there's an empty netter at the other end, but it didn't materialize as Halak was out fishing.
Well, it wouldn't be a game without Halak kind of muffing it a little bit behind the net. And I'm not trying to be a bad guy.
Oh, no.
That Jarl has struggles every once in a while when he handles that puck.
John Tavares recovering a loose puck after a shot had been blocked. Right on by Tavares, turned aside by Stalock, and the puck will end up in the Islander end of the ice.
Oh, he had a good look, John Tavares, on that play. Right in the slot, walked into it to a one-timer. Tremendous pass by Anders Lee.
The Islanders over the line again. Anders Lee, John Tavares, and Ryan Strome. Strome took the puck away from his men and got double-teamed.
You know, Peter DeBoer talked about the Islanders and talked about their skill level, and he said, and they're getting better. They're better. He says, I got a good look at them last year. I think they're better this year. He may be right. Of course, he's seen it firsthand in tonight's game.
They spent the last 3.5 seasons guiding the fortunes of the New Jersey Devils. Prior to that, 3 years with the Florida Panthers.
And he talked about John Tavares as being one of the top 5 forwards in the entire world. So a huge compliment to John Tavares and Peter DeBoer.
So he should. Tavares has a shot at being the NHL Player of the Week when you consider what he has done here in the past 3 games.
Yeah, seven points and a couple of goals. Yeah, a couple, and he's been John Tavares as usual. Key goals at key times.
Maybe not scoring on the penalty shot.
Are we going to start working as John's PR people now, Jake? Is that what this is coming to?
No, we've been doing this forever because he is just that good. He's worth the price of admission night after night, folks. Here's Oposo, who's had another big night for the Islanders. A goal and a couple of assists.
2 games in a row now for Kyle Oposo, and he's a streaky goal scorer, as we know, Jigs. So it's good to see Kyle get it going, and it's good to see him get it going early. There are times when in his past career that he's a little bit of a slow starter. So all good things for all of the Islanders and all of their fans who are very, very energetic, very loud, very enthusiastic, and very appreciative of the way the Islanders are playing early on in this season.
3 unanswered goals in the third. Oposo will have the game winner. Nelson and Nielsen the others. And the Islanders have knocked off San Jose for the first time this season. Double dip. Nashville suffered their first loss in this building, and now the Sharks have the same fate presented to them.
The Islanders have been very, very good against undefeated teams, haven't they? I mean, dismantled the Nashville Predators and the San Jose Sharks. Well, they've got something going for themselves right now. And tough start against the Chicago Blackhawks. Not so much they didn't win, but it was a tough team. And of course, Winnipeg was unbeaten also, Jake. So that's 3 teams that got off to good starts that the Islanders have taken measure. So they're feeling pretty good about themselves. As you mentioned, they play Tuesday in Columbus. Well, that'll be a good challenge because Columbus has stumbled out of the gates.
I've got the Islanders with a goal, a power play goal on 2 opportunities, and they killed off all 3 San Jose power plays. And tonight they salute the crowd of 11,557 at the Barclays Center.
Everybody's happy with the yes, yes, yes. Columbus is losing right now in Chicago, so that'll be a hornet's nest, Jakes, when they go in there, because they were expecting big things from that club.
Yeah, things are just not going well in Columbus, but that cannon will go off at some stage.
Oh, my goodness, I hope not. I hope not.
Wanted to forewarn you, you can expect it prior to the game, and I don't want you to leave the booth when that happens. There's the final tonight. The Islanders over the Sharks, 6-3. We're awaiting the 3-star selection. The stars of the game will be brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers on the web at MBUSA.com.